Daniel Nation, DanielJon. I hope you guys are good. And of course, I hope you're okay. Q&A Sundays. I'm glad I don't do this by the episode because I wouldn't know what the fucking number episode we're on right now. So, grab yourself a BBC. Mine was between my legs, keeping nice and nestly warm. We're good to go. Now, I haven't got many questions today. As you guys know, last week I did a shitload of ton of questions, and this man in the van episode has been taking up a lot of these good questions at the moment. So I'm going to answer today some of the questions that come up quite frequently, and ones that I've been putting off for a while because I keep forgetting. There's one particular question which I'm going to answer right now. Is this gentleman has asked me for weeks and weeks and weeks, and every time I write it down or I go to answer it or I get too involved in the Q&A that I'm already doing, I always forget this question, and he always says, Dan, you didn't answer my question, you didn't answer my question. So rather than emailing back, because I've been asked for by a couple of people now, the question is SARMS. What are SARMS? And there's, you know, I've got this web page up behind me now because the gentleman asked me, he said, what do I think about SARMS? You know, are they a good thing? And basically they're a new powerful anabolic compound. Now I'm not going to dwell too much into that because I don't know about them. And if it's something that I was ever going to use or take, I would tell you guys. I would do a lot of research into it. And I would put the information out there so that you guys could know exactly what I was doing. But this gentleman asked me, what do I think about them? And I'm going to honestly tell you, I don't know anything about them, so I can't give you my opinion on them. Now, I could sit here and research it and give you guys a clinically proven, you know, study that I could probably find on the internet. However, I don't know about them, and it's not going to benefit me looking for them because I'm never going to use them in the future. But I am going to say, ask that question to Mr. Blahart, because I reckon he would be able to, you know, address that. He knows a lot of things about anabolic compounds and things like that, and that's more his sector of YouTube, if you will. He knows about that kind of stuff. So a question like that would definitely need to be directed towards someone like him with his knowledge and, you know, his background of things like that, because he does know about them a great deal. So I'm sorry that I haven't answered your question. I would be able to do the research, and I just don't have the, you know, the time anyway. So I'm very, very sorry about it. I do sound like a fucking chauvinist pig saying that, but you know, I'm sorry that I've been putting your question off, my brother. I hope that's kind of helped you a little bit though. Another question that got emailed to me this morning, one of the gentlemen, he bought exactly the same weight set as me, which I believe Jason Blahar has, and also Dan from Dan's Home Physique. I'm not too sure if he does or not, actually. He might use different plates. But when you get, you know, cast iron plates, sometimes they have chips taken out of them. Now, to those chips, obviously if you've got a plate and, you know, 1/8 of that plate's missing, it's going to make a huge difference to it. But if it's just got a little chip here and there, the gentleman wanted to know, is it going to make a huge... Sorry. He wanted to know if it's going to make a huge difference to, you know, when he's bench pressing, squatting or deadlifting that. It's not going to make a huge noticeable difference. I mean, you know, most of your weights that you use in the gym anyway, you could probably you could probably weigh one on a scales. You can weigh identical plate and you might be off by, you know, 10, 15, 20 grams or so. So things like that ain't going to make a huge difference. But I am going to say, be careful, check your weights, because I was using one in the gym. When I first started, it was like a 10 kilo plate. No, it was a 20 kilo plate. Me and Leanne was using them. And we was loading them up onto the rack when we was doing some squats. And the actual plate had a whole crack all the way through it. And when I took it off and took it to the, you know, the gym owner, he just dropped it on the floor just to see if it was stable, and it just snapped in half. So be careful, because check these hairline fractures, because when metal gets a hairline fracture and you drop it or you bang too much, that will split the weight and it will just fall apart. So just keep an eye on it. You know, if they're your own weights, definitely look after them. And if you're using somebody else's weights, still look after them. Hey, I've got a question. This one come through the Facebook page. Hey, again, mate, I've got a question. How do you train abs? Should you do 1,000 reps or 1,000 reps or weighted moderate reps at a set and sets? To be honest, I haven't trained abs for ages. I haven't trained abs since I've worked out at home. And the reason being is I do a heavy lifting job anyway. And I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm not. I do like direct ab work. And me and Leanne, we've been talking about doing it for a long time now, but we just keep putting it off. Things are getting busy, but I do squat, I do deadlift, and I do them both beltless on most of my sets. Only my heavy working sets, I don't do them beltless. So I am getting a lot of ab stimulation throughout the exercises that are being performed, because I'm keeping my core tight at all times. Even on bench press and overhead press, you're keeping your core tight. So you are using your abs and things like that. But one thing I do while I'm driving, that sounds like doo-doo, I've just fucked up there. I'm not even going to restart the video. But one thing I do while I'm driving, I keep saying, one thing I do while I'm driving is I like to tense my abs. I hold them for, you know, 10-second intervals while I'm driving. If you're prone to passing out, don't do it while you're driving, because it's not a good idea. But what I'll do is I'll be driving the same down the motorway or something, because I drive like 200 miles on the motorway. So what I do is I'll just, you know, I squeeze my abs for as hard as I can, and I'll do that for, you know, 5 minutes at a time with 10 seconds. So I do 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off, and I'll just squeeze my abs. That's giving them stimulation. Another thing that I'm actually practicing at the moment is the vacuum pose. I haven't been able to master it. I can't do it for a long period of time, but it is something that I am doing. So what I'm doing when I'm driving along, I'll sit upright and I'll take all my air out, and then I hold my abs in here, and it kills. It's something I'm trying to do. I want to master it. So stay tuned for that. But I just do it while I'm driving, you know. I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone here. And next question. How do you manage to do so much on such little sleep? I need your tips. No, you don't need my tips, man. I'm just predisposed to it. I've been like it my whole life. You know, I used to go work with my dad. My dad's got pictures of me in his lorries and things like that when I was in a baby carrier. You know, things like that. I've been literally, obviously I'm not going to say I was working then because I was in a baby carrier, but I'm naturally predisposed to being awake for long periods of time and surviving on very little sleep. You know, I sleep 4-5 hours a night maximum. That is absolutely maximum. You know, sometimes I'll do 3 hours. Like the other night I only slept for 3 hours. Got home from work, worked out, done all my videos, things like that, caught up on questions and things like that, and then went out with Leanne, got in, went to sleep, went to work sleep for 3 hours, and then went back to work, and I was perfectly fine. Now, I'm not going to say that's optimal for everybody. I'm not going to say it's optimal for, you know, your bodybuilding, your powerlifting, and things like that. But that's what works for me. You know, I don't feel I need more sleep. If I sleep for anything more than 7 hours, I wake up with a chronic headache. And I mean that not even paracetamol can cure that. I'm not saying it's like a migraine. I'm just saying it's like it's a pain that's there all day. Kind of like after 7 hours of sleep, light hurts my eyes and things like that. So being awake for as long periods of time and surviving on very little sleep is just how I am. It's not something that I can say to you, you can train yourself to do. You may well be able to, but I literally, my body clock wakes me up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning when I go to work. And I don't feel tired till about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So I'll be, you know, going to bed late, getting up early, and it's just, that is how I am. My dad's exactly the same, my mum's exactly the same, my brother's not exactly the same. He likes to sleep, but he does get up early, he goes to work. My phone keeps ringing, I have to answer that in just a second. So, you know, if you want to be awake for longer periods of time, do that on days that you don't have work. Okay, so say you've got a day off during the week, say you have Wednesdays off, like I usually do. Go to bed later, get up earlier, and see how you feel throughout that day. Now, if you start feeling real tired, have a nap. You know, try and train yourself into things like that, but I'm not going to say it's good for you, because it might not be. I don't know you from Adam, so it's good for me, might not be good for you. Some people need sleep, some people don't need sleep, but everyone needs sleep to make gains, obviously, but I just need less sleep, and I'm still making gains. I'm still getting stronger, I'm still getting leaner, I'm still getting faster, so I'm happy with what I'm doing at the moment. When you open your own gym, what will you call it? I'm not too sure on that. I've got a lot of names brainstormed, written down, and things like that, but I'm not 100% exactly what I would like to call it. So I'm not going to say anything just yet, because if I say something, it might just change. But I will open my own gym eventually, because that is the goal that I've got written down. That is the goal that I'm working towards, and that is the goal that I'm hoping to achieve. Well, I'm not hoping to achieve, I will achieve it, because I will work and push myself beyond my limits to work 6-7 days a week, as I do already, and keep saving up as much money as I can. So I hope that has answered your questions today. Nice, short Q&A Sundays. Go and enjoy your fucking Sunday, guys, because I'm going to sit down this evening with Leanne. We're going to have a big motherfucking roast pork joint, potatoes, vegetables, gravy, stuffing, parsnips. I'm talking about the works, baby. We're going to have a bit of parsley sprinkled on top of that, a bit of herbs and spices. We're going to rub all the salt into the pork. We're going to cut the fat off, slice it a little bit more, put it in the oven to crackle, and then we're going to go to the cinema to watch a new film. Sorry if you're mouth watering right now, but I'm going to take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. He's got that whole persona about him, you know, something that I'd like to train with. And if push comes to shove, I'd probably try and dry hump him as well, or something like that. I think my